Trump, by becoming rich.
Take all your money, buy Bitcoin.
Wake up every morning and say GM.
GM. The memes are incredible today. So, first of all, that fucking debate was a shit show. And I think that, I don't even think Trump won as much as Biden lost. Biden just lost. He was fucking terrible. Like, brutal. R.I.P. Bowden, figuratively and probably literally. And I think that probably, I don't know, I guess they're going to pull him out. I guess they're going to pull him out of the race, but I suppose you never know what's going to happen. But it was bad. It was bad. I mean, I don't know how they can put somebody on stage who looks lost, his eyes, doesn't know where he is. It is kind of sad. Like, obviously, you forget the fact of all the bad things he's done, and he's a monster. And they're terrible people. But it is kind of sad to see someone clearly with dementia being forced to try and talk and pretend that they're actually the president of the United States of America. Massive L for America. Anyway, so Trump won, and good example of how the coins would move, right? So Trump coin started to push higher. I thought it might spike a little more, but basically, you know, gets some hype around the debate and rejects lower. Bowden, done. As is Biden himself. And I talked about this. I talked about it when it was coming out of that bottom range. I said people are probably just going to sell into this level here, and they did so. I think it's done. End of. At some point in future, will it randomly pump? Yeah. But you can class that as being done. Bitcoin has now had 3 daily closes, all in this kind of choppy range. This, to me, almost certainly means we're going lower, at least into that wick, or at the very minimum to sweep out that daily low, which would look like something like this, you know, at the bare minimum, that. And so I think those rejections that you can see there, several of them, are pretty telling for the future, the next direction of BTC. We had the big options expiry for June, so the quarterly OPEX is done. That happened at 8 a.m. UTC, which was 47 minutes ago. And as you can see, we dumped down into it, closed at exactly 61,277. And like I mentioned a few days ago, we're probably going to spend the week between 60 and 62. That's pretty much what we did. Now that that's gone, it can unpin. And I do think that BTC can actually go higher from here. It depends on how much this, you know, selling gets absorbed and if it can flip again. Like, for example, let me get my volume profile chart. Yeah, I think that it's probably going to go back to the lows and fill that in. And if it goes from there and reclaims, I think that's when you want to look at the more serious, take a more serious look at a breakout. Otherwise, a breakdown is possible from over here. That's one of the things I'll be watching. And you know, your potential for a breakout really comes from there. Yeah, so they're the paths that I see ahead. Zoom out again. I see a couple different paths. One we can have a more aggressive squeeze. One where we go, you know, bouncing down towards the lows. As for yesterday, ETFs, I mean, it's barely worth checking these anymore, but it is always worth checking in. Yeah, low. ETFs are pretty much done for now. Ethereum continues to, I want to say it's ETH BTC. Is it ever going to actually flip green on the weekly? Super close. And the fucking squiggle from a couple of weeks ago is playing out pretty well. ETH BTC finally trying to flip bullish. Now, when that actually happens, I suspect that we will see, some kind of pullback, but probably from higher, right, where it goes up, down, and then away it goes. If it's going to outperform at all, I don't know. I mean, it's been a long time, so it's overdue to outperform. So Solana had its news yesterday. I talked about this on stream. So it's below the bands. That's not real. It's not a bullish chart there. If you go on a lower time frame, like an hourly or a 15-minute, shows it even better. I showed it on. Yeah, there we go. On Altcoin Request stream, I mentioned this very typical price pattern where the news gets priced in very quickly, price it unable to go higher, and it just stair steps down, 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 fills in the inefficiency, and then goes again from there. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean that it started off this way, so I do think it's probably going to do that type of formation, but don't be surprised if something different happens entirely where it goes lower, but everyone tries to, short it, and it pushes up to the highs and sweeps, and then it, finds its way down in a different direction. Don't just hang on to the idea that it has to perfectly, sell off exactly as I have said on my fucking magic squiggle. But yeah, I mean, overall, a pretty quiet day. Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, they're all consolidating at or near their lows in the case of Bitcoin and ETH. And Solana obviously has had a pump up, but I don't think, you don't want Solana leading the market, that's for sure, right? That's definitely late stage things. So I think this Solana pump, to be honest, not to be super negative or anything, but that Solana pump does remind me a little bit of the XRP pump from last summer, which was just a pump that happened too soon, and that was the top. And so for Sol, obviously, it's on a lower time frame, right? That pump is nowhere near the magnitude. But I could see that being the peak of its move so far. And then it has just gone into more of a consolidation for a while, right? Just back down, bleed, chop, 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 chop. We'll see. So that's about it. Today, one big piece of data today, actually, the core PCE. So this is definitely one to keep an eye on. Core PCE, Friday. This is the Federal Reserve's preferred inflation measure. And that's going to be a big sign to the market about inflation itself. If this comes in lower than expected, so the expectation is 0.1 on the monthly. So if it comes in at 0.1 or under, or if the yearly, which I don't know why the yearly is not here, but the yearly, I think it was 2.8 last month. If that comes in below that, then you probably see a bullish reaction from the market. Lower inflation is a sign that the Fed can move closer towards the rate cutting cycle, which is when it's really what the markets are waiting for in terms of their next leg up. So obviously any surprises to the upside will really negatively affect markets in the near term, and that's something you want to be watching out for too. And that is about it. GM, casual Fridays today, 4 p.m. UTC, GM, see you then. Join us, and I'll talk about some of the things coming up with a trading challenge. So there's going to be a challenge coming for the campus, as well as some new lessons coming very soon. GM.